All right, so get ready because today we are going to dive into something pretty interesting. The connection between shadow work and witchcraft.
Mhm.
You might be thinking, wait a minute, do those two things even go together?
Yeah.
And that's exactly the kind of thing we're going to be talking about today.
Huh.
We've got some excerpts from a text that really gets into this.
Okay.
But first, let's just make sure we're all on the same page here.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the term shadow self?
I heard the shadow self.
It's a term that was coined by Carl Jung to describe those hidden parts of ourselves. You know, those parts that we try to push down and ignore, all
Yes.
that stuff.
Uh-huh. Think about it this way. Everyone has a shadow side.
Okay.
It's not always a bad thing or, evil or anything like that.
Right.
It's just this collection of parts of our personality that we might not be so comfortable with.
Okay.
Things like maybe our fears or insecurities or even some desires that we don't want to admit to.
That's interesting. So, this shadow self, does it actually play a role in witchcraft?
It absolutely can.
Okay.
Shadow work, which is essentially the process of acknowledging and understanding and integrating those shadow aspects, can be incredibly powerful in witchcraft.
Okay.
And it's not really about getting rid of those parts of ourselves.
Yeah.
It's more about learning to actually work with them.
Okay. Now, I'm really intrigued.
Okay.
But why would witches want to work with their shadows?
Right.
Wouldn't it make more sense to just focus on all the good stuff,
Sure.
the positive aspects of themselves and their magical practice?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
And what's really fascinating is that, working with your shadow can actually make your magic even better in ways that you might not expect.
Wow.
Our source material really digs into this.
Okay.
Think about how much better your spell work could be if you weren't fighting with yourself.
Right.
Battling all those limiting beliefs at the same time.
Yeah, I can see that. It's like when you try to run a marathon with a backpack full of rocks.
Totally.
You're going to be weighed down. You're going to get exhausted.
Exactly. Shadow work is like taking out those rocks from the backpack so you can just run free.
I like that.
Yeah.
So it's not just about facing your fears. It's about using that self-awareness to improve your craft.
Exactly.
Are there any other ways that shadow work impacts witchcraft?
There are.
Okay.
Our source really emphasizes the connection between shadow work and intuition.
Okay.
By, confronting our shadow, we're kind of tapping into the subconscious mind. And that's where our intuition comes from.
Right.
And as you know, intuition is a really important part of so many different types of witchcraft.
That's true.
From divination to connecting with different deities and spirits.
So it's like shadow work helps us connect with those energies and messages that we might not be aware of otherwise.
Exactly. You got it.
Because our conscious mind is too busy. It's like you're clearing all the static so your magical radio can receive those whispers more clearly.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. And I bet that increased self-awareness is really helpful for navigating the complexities of the magical world.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of different energies at play, a lot of different personalities.
For sure, shadow work can help you figure out your own triggers and your own patterns
Right.
so you don't react out of fear or insecurity when you're dealing with these energies.
Okay.
And it also helps you set healthy boundaries,
Right.
which is so important for anyone practicing magic.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. You've convinced me shadow work sounds like a pretty powerful tool for any witch.
It is.
But let's be realistic. Not everyone is going to be super excited to dive into their darkest depths.
Yeah.
So how can you tell if you actually need to do shadow work?
Well, our source offers a few signs.
Okay.
For example, have you ever felt stuck in your magical practice?
Oh, yeah. I think every witch has felt that way at some point.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that could be a sign that you've got some unresolved shadow stuff blocking your energy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What other signs should we look out for?
Pay attention to how you talk to yourself.
Okay.
Are you always putting yourself down, focusing on your flaws? Or maybe you find yourself getting triggered really easily
Oh, yeah.
and, overreacting.
I know that one all too well.
Yeah.
It's like my inner critic is just always there.
Right.
Does that have something to do with my shadow self?
It absolutely can.
Okay.
That inner critic is often like a manifestation of our shadow, those voices of fear and self-doubt that we've internalized over time.
Okay.
And then there's also, the flip side.
Okay.
Maybe there are certain emotions or topics that you just avoid thinking about completely.
It's like they're locked away in a vault somewhere deep down.
Exactly. And that resistance, that avoidance, that's a pretty clear sign that your shadow is guarding something that it doesn't want you to see.
Wow. It's amazing how much our shadow can impact our lives even in ways that we don't realize.
Yeah, it is.
So if we decide to go on this shadow work journey, what kind of tools can we use to help us along the way?
Well, there are so many amazing tools out there, and
Okay.
a lot of them are really easy to use.
That's good.
Journaling, for example, is one of the simplest but most powerful ways to connect with your shadow.
Yeah, good old pen and paper.
Right.
There's something really grounding about just writing down your thoughts and feelings.
Totally. And to really dive deep, our source recommends using specific journal prompts for shadow work.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, for example, one prompt might ask, what am I afraid to admit to myself about my magical practice?
Oh, that's a good one.
Right. Or what patterns keep repeating in my life that might be connected to my shadow self?
Oh, that's a good one too.
Right.
Yeah, so that's a good way to start a conversation with your shadow.
Exactly.
What about divination tools,
Yeah.
like tarot or oracle cards? Can those be helpful?
They can be incredibly insightful.
Okay.
There are actually tarot spreads specifically designed for shadow work.
Wow.
They can help you uncover what's hidden in your shadow,
Okay.
how it's affecting your life, and even suggest ways to heal and integrate those shadow parts.
So it's like having a magical roadmap for your shadow work.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah,
I've also heard that certain crystals can be helpful for shadow work too.
absolutely.
Is that
Great.
crystals like
Yeah.
obsidian amethyst and labradorite
Okay.
are all known for their properties that support shadow work.
Interesting.
Obsidian, for example, is a grounding stone that can help to release those negative emotions and patterns.
I've used obsidian before for protection,
Yeah.
but I never thought about it for shadow work.
Yeah.
What about the other crystals?
So amethyst brings calming energy,
Okay.
which can really help you process all those difficult emotions that might come up during shadow work.
Right.
And labradorite is said to enhance your intuition, which, as we talked about, is super important for connecting with those deeper parts of ourselves. So each crystal has its own unique way of supporting shadow work.
Exactly.
Okay, so I've got journaling tarot crystals.
Yeah.
What other tools should we have in our shadow work toolkit?
Oh, there are so many more.
Really?
Candle magic, for example, can be super powerful for shadow work.
Oh, okay.
Black candles are often used for protection and grounding during shadow work rituals,
Okay.
while white candles can bring clarity and light to the process.
I love the symbolism of black and white candles.
Yeah,
It's like acknowledging both the dark and the light within ourselves.
exactly.
What about meditation?
Meditation can be a really gentle and effective way to connect with your shadow self.
Okay.
You can find guided meditations specifically for shadow work,
Right.
or you can just sit quietly and invite your shadow to show itself.
It's like creating a safe space to meet those hidden parts of you.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah, and don't forget about herbs and incense.
Oh, right.
Certain herbs like mugwort and sage
Yeah.
have been used for centuries to enhance intuition and clear negative energies, which can be so helpful during shadow work.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
And it seems like there's a lot of tools out there to help us.
Definitely.
I'm curious about how this all comes together in practice.
Yeah,
Are there specific rituals that witches use for shadow work?
there are.
Okay.
Our source talks about a few really potent rituals that I think you'll find interesting.
Right. I'm all ears. Tell me about them.
So one of the most powerful is the shadow mirror ritual.
Okay.
It's all about confronting and accepting your shadow self head on.
Whoa, that sounds intense.
It can be.
What does it involve?
You'll need a mirror, a black candle, and your journal.
Okay.
The idea is to light the candle, place it next to the mirror, and then look deeply into your reflection.
Wait, I have to look at myself.
I know it might sound a little scary,
That's the scary part.
but the key is to approach it with compassion and curiosity.
Okay.
As you look into the mirror, you can say an affirmation, like, I honor the parts of myself I have hidden. I call my shadow to the surface, to be seen, understood, and integrated.
Wow.
Then just notice what thoughts and emotions come up.
Okay.
And afterwards, you can write about your experience in your journal.
Oh, that makes sense. You know, to help process all those feelings that might come up.
Exactly.
Okay, so what other rituals are there?
Another really potent ritual is the burning release ritual.
Hmm.
This ritual is all about letting go.
Okay.
Fears, limiting beliefs, painful memories, anything that's holding you back.
Ooh, I could definitely use some of that.
Fire is such a powerful symbol of transformation.
It is.
For this ritual, you'll need some paper, a pen, a fireproof bowl, and a black candle.
Okay.
You start by writing down everything you want to release.
Uh-huh.
Then you light the candle, read your list out loud, and really feel those emotions.
Okay.
As you burn the paper in the bowl, you can say something like, I release what no longer serves me. I transform pain into wisdom. and darkness and the light.
Wow. I can just imagine the power of that release. It's like physically letting go.
It is.
Okay, are there any other rituals you want to share?
There's one more I think you'll really enjoy.
Okay.
The tarot shadow work ritual.
Okay, now you're speaking my language.
Yeah.
I love tarot.
So do I.
What's this ritual all about?
It's a beautiful way to explore your shadow with the help of your tarot deck.
Okay.
You start by shuffling your deck and focusing on your intention for shadow work.
Okay.
Then you draw 3 cards.
A 3-card spread.
Yep.
I love how simple that is.
Yeah.
What does each card represent?
The first card represents what's hidden in your shadow.
Okay.
The second card shows you how you can embrace that part of yourself.
Uh-huh.
And the third card highlights the lesson you can learn from it.
I love how that spread gives you both insight and guidance. So after you pull the cards, what do you do?
Just take some time to sit with the cards.
Okay.
Meditate on their images and meanings.
Uh-huh.
Messages are they trying to tell you? How do they relate to what you're going through right now?
Okay.
And then write down anything that comes up, any insights or revelations.
That sounds like a really great way to combine the magic of tarot with the depth of shadow work.
It is.
Okay, so we've covered a lot.
We have.
We've talked about why shadow work is important, how to recognize if you need to do it, and we've even gotten into specific tools and rituals.
Yeah.
But this all sounds pretty intense.
It can be.
Do you have any advice for anyone who's feeling a little nervous about getting started?
Of course.
It's not exactly easy, right?
You're right. It can be challenging.
Yeah.
But you don't have to do everything at once.
Right.
Start slowly.
Okay.
Maybe try journaling for a few minutes each day.
Uh-huh.
Or explore a simple guided meditation.
Okay.
The important thing is to honor your own pace.
Right.
And create a safe space for yourself to explore these deeper parts of yourself.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
I know from personal experience that jumping headfirst into shadow work, that can be pretty overwhelming. It's like opening Pandora's box sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it can feel that way.
So what happens if you find yourself struggling?
Don't be afraid to reach out for support.
Okay.
A therapist, a trusted friend, or even a mentor in the witchcraft community.
Right.
They can all offer guidance and encouragement along the way.
It's so important to remember that you're not alone on this journey.
You're absolutely not.
And remember, shadow work isn't about becoming perfect or erasing those parts of ourselves that we don't like.
It's about embracing our wholeness,
Yes.
the light and the shadow,
Mm-hmm.
and using that self-awareness to live a more authentic and empowered life.
So it's not about conquering our shadows, but integrating them as part of who we are.
Exactly. And that integration,
Yeah.
that acceptance of our wholeness is where the true magic lies.
I love that. It makes me think about, how integrating those shadow parts could actually, impact the world around us.
Oh, that's a really interesting thought.
Yeah.
It's easy to think about shadow work as like a solo thing, but I think it can have like a ripple effect.
So you're saying that by doing our own inner work, we're actually, contributing to a more, harmonious world.
Think about it.
Okay.
So much of the conflict and negativity that we see comes from, those unacknowledged shadows.
It's like those times when someone's in a bad mood and it just seems to rub off on everyone else.
Totally. It's
Yeah.
like we're all walking around with these invisible wounds.
Right.
And when those wounds get triggered, we end up, taking it out on other people.
Oh, yeah.
But imagine if everyone took the time to acknowledge and heal those wounds.
Right. It's like that saying, hurt people hurt people.
Exactly.
But if we can heal our own hurts, then we're less likely to hurt other people.
Exactly. And that's why I think shadow work is more than just a personal thing. It can
Yeah.
actually be a catalyst for change.
Wow. That's a really powerful idea.
It is.
I'm curious, how can we make more people aware of the importance of shadow work? It's not really a mainstream topic, right?
It's-
Especially outside of the witchcraft community. So how do we change that?
Well, I think it starts with conversations like the one we're having right now.
Okay.
But just talking openly about it,
Right.
demystifying it, making it more accessible,
Mm-hmm.
that can help break down some of the stigma.
It's like we need to normalize the idea that everyone has a shadow side
Yeah, exactly.
and that it's okay to talk about it
Absolutely.
and, maybe even encourage it.
Yeah, I think we can learn a lot from how witches have incorporated shadow work into their practices.
All right.
They've developed these rituals and tools and techniques that can be so helpful.
And those are things that anyone can benefit from,
Yeah.
even if they're not a witch, right?
Absolutely. Whether you're using journaling prompts to explore your shadow or working with crystals to release negative energy, the principles are the same.
So it's really about taking these ancient practices
Yeah,
and making them accessible to everyone.
exactly.
And I think one of the most important things is to remember that shadow work isn't a quick fix.
No, it's not.
It's an ongoing journey, right?
It is.
The lifelong process of self-discovery and integration.
Totally. And the more we embrace that journey,
Yeah.
the more we create a world where everyone can, shine their full light.
I love that, shining our full light, shadows and all. It's such a beautiful way to think about shadow work.
Yeah,
Okay, so we've talked about the deep connection between shadow work and witchcraft, and we even talked about how it can impact the world around us.
we did.
So now I think it's time to kind of recap some of the key takeaways.
Sure.
What are some of the things that really stand out to you?
I think first and foremost, it's so important to remember that shadow work isn't about judging ourselves
Right.
or getting rid of the parts of ourselves that we don't like.
It's about understanding those parts.
Yeah.
Accepting them.
Yes.
And integrating them into our whole selves.
Exactly. It's about embracing our wholeness.
Right.
All of it.
And we also talked about how shadow work is especially important in witchcraft because it can help us to be more self-aware.
Right.
Strengthen our intuition, remove energetic blocks, and promote healing and transformation.
It's like shadow work gives you a superpower boost for your magical practice.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
And we also talked about some of the signs that you might need to do some shadow work,
Yeah.
like feeling stuck in your practice or having a lot of negative self-talk.
Yeah. Or maybe you have really strong emotional reactions to things.
Right, or you're just avoiding certain topics or feelings altogether.
It's like those are all little red flags from your shadow
Exactly.
trying to get your attention.
And we learned that by actually addressing those shadow aspects, we can not only improve our personal magic,
Mm-hmm.
but also our relationships,
Yes.
our creativity,
Yeah.
and our overall well-being.
Totally.
And it's not just about personal gain either.
Right.
We talked about how shadow work can actually have this ripple effect,
Yeah.
leading to a more compassionate and understanding world.
I love that idea.
It's like we're all connected.
We are.
And by healing ourselves, we're also healing the collective.
Beautifully said.
And we talked about a bunch of different tools and techniques that can support us on our shadow work journey,
Right.
from journaling and tarot to crystals and candle magic.
Yeah. And we can't forget about meditation, dream work, and creative expression.
Right. There are so many ways to connect with those hidden parts of ourselves.
There are.
And we even explored some really cool shadow work rituals.
Yeah.
Like the shadow mirror ritual, the burning release ritual, and the tarot shadow work ritual.
Those are some powerful rituals.
They are.
Yeah.
And each one offers a unique way to connect with and integrate our shadow selves.
It's like having a whole magical toolbox at your disposal.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And we wrapped up by talking about how important it is to approach shadow work with compassion and to go at your own pace,
Yes.
create a safe space for yourself,
Absolutely.
and seek support when you need it.
You got it.
It's about honoring your own journey and remembering that you're not alone in this.
You're not alone.
And I think one of the biggest takeaways from all of this is that shadow work isn't just about healing ourselves.
No.
It's about healing the world.
It's about understanding that all of our shadows are connected.
Right?
And that by doing our own inner work, we're contributing to a more compassionate and understanding and harmonious world.
That is so beautifully said.
Thank you.
I want to ask you a question, listener.
Thanks.
If shadow work can change not only your own magic, but also your interactions with the world, what kind of impact could you make by embracing your own shadow self? What positive change could you create in your life and in the lives of the people around you?
That's a powerful question to think about.
Wow, that is really something to think about.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, listener, but I am feeling inspired to really take a good look at my own shadow self.
The good thing.
Yeah, and it's not about, being perfect
No.
or getting rid of those shadow parts altogether.
It's about bringing them into the light and
Yeah.
saying like, hey, you're a part of me too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I want to get to know you.
It's about understanding that we are all a mix of, the light and the shadow.
Yeah.
And that's what makes us special.
Like a tapestry, right?
Ooh.
The shadows add depth and texture,
Yeah, I love that.
and they make the whole thing more vibrant.
So as we finish up our deep dive into shadow work and witchcraft,
Yeah.
I want to encourage you, listener, to approach this whole thing with curiosity and compassion.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to, look into those darker parts of yourself.
Yeah.
You might be surprised by what you find.
You might find some treasures there.
And remember, you don't have to do this alone.
No, you don't.
Reach out to a friend or a therapist or a mentor,
Yeah,
especially if you're in the witchcraft community.
absolutely.
They can help you along the way.
We're all in this together.
It's true, we are all on this journey of self-discovery,
We are.
and it's important to support each other.
Yes, and you never know.
Yeah.
By embracing our own shadows, we might be able to help other people do the same.
What a beautiful thought.
It is.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into shadow work and witchcraft.
It does.
I hope you've learned some new things.
Yeah.
And that you have some tools to help you on your journey
Yeah.
of self-discovery.
Until next time,
Yeah.
may your path be filled with light and shadow and all the magic in between.
Happy exploring.